Howdy. My name is Robert Pin. You know, like the bobby pin? Is that as funny as Bill Hilly or April, May, June? I'm not here to gloat about funny names worthy of Ripley's, believe it or not. No, I've invited you here to my front porch to be quite informal and to report either supernatural or super unnatural sightings near the murky swamp down yonder secluded road. Now hold on, what I mean is, for some reason, some folks over the past few months have been coming to me because they think I'm a good pal to tell supposed secrets to instead of the local sheriff. Either they think they've seen something kooky, or the heat was making them hallucinate, or they have some kind of history and they know stuff when they see it. Thus supernatural or super unnatural. Got me? Alright, okay. Plus, let's face it, in small towns I won't suspect logic by the duty or return aspects of friendship, since they would trust someone enough to tell them first and not someone who'd go investigate. Just keep them on the feed that day. Why am I telling you? Well, I consider that friendship the same bond with anyone who'd listen by further word of mouth. Whatever parts you want to believe in, if not the whole, is dandy. I do live close enough to the swamp to believe every report, and I suppose that helps those who told me feel better before I went investigating myself. Believe me, if I start to sound like one of them, you hear stuff first, no matter if you're looking on purpose. Like that. I suppose one hears so many sounds in such places anyway that it makes the unexpected all the easier to detect. Like a whistling or humming at night, even from here. Or something like a tribal chant. Even during the broad day when you're there yourself, you feel a sudden gust of icy chill even in that climate, like you took a swig of cold soft drink from a vending machine. It's like there be one in the swamp itself among the heavy tangle of vines and foliage. As you can guess, every single paranoid confession from someone who went alone. And I kept it personal. Personal enough. So to be sure, they really weren't more cuckoo short of a breakfast cereal. Some I heard, however, were beyond as bonkers as I was observing and sketching their caricatures while they blabbed on the 14 couch in front of me. Cliche or not. You think I charged these schmoes? Just listening to exaggeration was payment enough. Nor am I a certified psychologist. I just play one to suspend disbelief. My favorite account, from which I severely resisted the urge to chuckle and or bust a gut, was from one Fruit Loop who was so convinced. What is it with the cereal? Convinced by the grapevine gossip, which, like a game of telephone, became more absurd upon word of mouth, that he got in the notion to venture out to the edge of the swamp with a megaphone and have a session of amplified ravings of what I interpreted as infinite jest indeed. The guy... But more the guy believed in his supposed unsuccessful coaxing of anything else supernatural, in broad daylight no less, to appear like he's a freaking ghost whisperer, The more I covered my mouth with my sleeve until the moment passed, and I regained my composure enough to feign my concern for his confessions from childhood, like, "Yes, Lisa, if you can hear me, it was me who threw the peanut at the tiger at the zoo when you were closer." 'Twas my cue to spew out equal amounts of "How'd that make you feel?" and "I understand. Facing your fear will bring a clearer life path." And the comfort zone is not the dead zone. Well, it helps them be productive when they're comfortable, so I still can't decide if that guy felt better or worse after telling me. The spread of gossip to where I became the reliable listener was crossing a line I wasn't even sure I'd figuratively been drawn yet. Word of mouth takes on one form and then the next until phases run on their courses like fads. The more ridiculous the source, can it be justified or dignified as a fad? Well, at least I had fun when the situation developed to that, so I'd be the one telling the story next. But don't worry, I don't need a psychiatrist to help me dissect the meaning of it all. Such a case is why I valued to go with the flow, huh? Value is almost valve. After all, it's a civic duty to indulge folks when they need a weight lifted, or think they do when they overanalyze urban legends, or for instance, they just don't need a smack upside the head. I'd have said they didn't need my advice, quote unquote, but where would that lead them until the thing faded away one way or another and left them wondering for years? I hate to be the one they deem responsible for that. Only cases of thinking one thing and saying another for the sake of simulated renewal. It's a good method to remember so no one puts their foot in their mouths too. Let alone Sandy and no shoe. I guess if anyone or thing really heard, let alone understood his deep motives of the megaphone fellow, would they think him as amusing as I? Without context? Secondly, I can't remember why he needed my thoughts, even if I wasn't laughing hysterically, literally behind his back. To tell about the telling? Would he go to a real psychiatrist and tell of my involved event? Of the telling of the telling of the telling? How many times would the point take? Like they could pin me for having a false license when not even have anything hanging on the wall. I'd rather have taxidermy up. Maybe their faces when they look like when they were telling the joke. To me, it was a joke. Or at least clay figures. Less alarming. As for my actual investigating, now I admit it always takes a particular faith from within, just sense what you know. Or well, I mean no disrespect, people who take solace in speaking to a beloved one's grave with a fresh bouquet of flowers, you've got to agree that anywhere else is like a supposed feared place is beyond far-fetched. You can figure even those who start rumors would go, dude. Others may have been too convinced in the wrong ways, but I treated it as though there was a yellow police tape around the crime scene. I still hoped it wouldn't be my doing to prove the most of something and make it another's destroyed part of Earth. No thanks to the government's actions to my snooping. Curious consequences, or lack thereof. If I treated it like a brain teaser, I wasn't going to emerge like those I listened to. The swamp, or rather bio, was sure no Bigfoot's Tea Party habitat. I feel when I speak of others' experiences, I have the right to be facetious, since not one told me how far they get into the locale they managed before chickening out. Unless I dreamt it all. I still have to guess, some during the day, some during sunset, some well after sunset. Shame, really. It's quite a pretty place with what slits of gold sunlight brightening the darker vine green here and there. It's emerald and nearly shimmering. Well, not today. Other places have been pepper shaker holes from above where the light floods and seeps through. If it was next to a lake, that's half the detail people would include besides I. Spooky cliches dictate the nocturne would be the kicker to get the party started. Yeah, the moon a disco ball. However, so there had to be those not taking what else there was there into account, and thus assuaging tension. Really, think about it. Of course, I went during the day because in addition to such scenery, it's still clearer than night where imagination would go misused. I sure hope the folks who told me what they think they saw considered me a friend afterward, if not before, so if indeed I spotted the same things, I'd increase said buddyhood. No matter what I look for by default. I listened closely to vocal tone and expression to spot if those supposed accounts were interesting or interesting, to make a mental game for myself. I'm sure I said both to all of them. I don't know. As though similar theory could dictate an underlying cause, they were careful to avoid by pronouncing certain particular ways and to try being reminded of something else. What a Rorschach test that is. Even those who came to me for a round of word tennis weren't aware of what I saw before or after without charge, if they even remember to pay. Their little behavior tics were like they brought their own Rorschach test. So on second thought, was this really about the rumors, or did folks just use that as a boost to speak with a free psychologist like some fad? What do they think I'd give them? If I'd been told that directly before, I would have been an experiment for them to see if I was kidding or not, and whatever the pretense was, and for me to test if I would have been better certified. Did they plan to come back? Sounds like fun, actually. I'm game for it. As I trekked to the swamp, I couldn't keep a straight face again, imagining what I could have asked. So, what do you think when I say roids? Could you give me a hint? As I try to play it back in my mind, as to whether they answer steroids or hemorrhoids.